We now turn to the UC package. With the cooperation of Ranking Member Huffman and the other members of the committee, we have worked out an agreement on 5 bills scheduled for markup today. As we have done before, rather than going through a formal markup process for each of the bills, I will make a single unanimous consent motion to report out the bills favorably with any amendments that have been filed and agreed to. Before we begin, does any member seek time to speak on any of the bills in this unanimous consent motion? Mr. Kennedy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Westerman, and thanks to the Ranking Member, Mr. Huffman, for considering the Indian Health Services Emergency Claims Parity Act during today's markup.
Mr. Kennedy, will you suspend?
I will.
Members, please pay respect to Mr. Kennedy and keep the noise down. We're still in the middle of the markup. I'll give you a little bit of time to exit if you're leaving.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 8 kids. I'm used to noisy rooms when I'm trying to talk, so it's all right.
Mr. Kennedy, you're recognized.
Thanks, sir. Before coming to Congress, I practiced as a physician. One lesson that carried me through every patient interaction was the importance of communication. Good decisions depend on having the right people at the table, sharing information early, and working together to solve problems before they become larger issues. That perspective also taught me that when families are facing a medical emergency, every moment matters. Their attention should be on caring for a loved one, not on navigating federal paperwork or worrying that they may miss a notification requirement while dealing with the crisis. This bill provides a practical, common-sense fix by ensuring that families are not unfairly burdened by procedural requirements during some of the most difficult moments of their lives. Utah's 3rd Congressional District is home to more federally recognized tribes than any other district in our state, and I know how important it is that federal processes work for the people they are intended to serve. This legislation removes an unnecessary burden while preserving the integrity of the underlying process, and I believe it is a sensible improvement to our current law. I appreciate Chairman Westerman and his committee staff for permitting consideration of this legislation, and I respectfully urge my colleagues to support this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Is there further discussion? Mr. Whitman, you're recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on the critical piece of legislation that is the Advancing Water Research and Collaboration Act of 2025, which reauthorizes the Water Resources Research Act program through 2029. You know, we're blessed as a nation with abundant natural resources, and I believe firmly that we have an opportunity, but also a responsibility to steward, manage, and use these resources in ways that allow them to flourish. This bipartisan legislation is going to strengthen the critical partnership between states and federal government and allowing them to coordinate, to plan, to organize, and conduct research that addresses these critical state and regional water programs. The research institutions that carry out this mission are typically housed at major research universities, ensuring that each state will be well equipped to manage its unique water challenges. In addition, reauthorizing this program, the Advancing Water Research and Collaboration Act, provides for the growing artificial intelligence industry's water challenges in the purpose section to be addressed. This will allow critical technology infrastructure to continue to evolve based on needs and conserving our precious water resources. Conservatism isn't partisan. Conservation isn't partisan. It's about protecting the livelihoods and way of life for millions of Americans. Those two go hand in hand. We have to continue to improve access in our conservation efforts and make sure these efforts are here to stay, and we understand the things we can do to continue to enhance these water resources. I want to take a moment to thank the House Natural Resources, Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries Subcommittee for their great work on this piece of legislation and their willingness to bring attention to the intersection of conservation and student research through this program. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for the time, and please know I am thankful for the work that this committee is doing to ensure that generations of Americans can live, work, hunt, fish, and play in our beautiful public lands.
Gentleman yields back. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, I ask unanimous consent that the Subcommittee on Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 2827, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Sexual Harassment and Assault Prevention Improvements Act of 2025. H.R. 6858, the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Advancement for Training, Education, Restoration, and Science, or the Waters Act. and H.R. 7889, the Advancing Water Research and Collaboration Act of 2025, or the AWRC Act of 2025. Without objection, so ordered. Ask unanimous consent that the Subcommittee on Indian and Insular Affairs be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 2827 to provide for the equitable settlements of certain Indian land disputes regarding the land in Illinois and for other purposes, and H.R. 8658, the Indian Health Services Emergency Claims Parity Act. Without objection, so ordered. I now ask unanimous consent that the following measures be approved and favorably reported as described to the House of Representatives. H.R. 2406, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Sexual Harassment and Assault Prevention Improvements Act of 2025. H.R. 2827, to provide for the equitable settlement of certain Indian tribe or certain Indian land disputes regarding land in Illinois and for other purposes. H.R. 6893, the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Advancement for Training, Education, Restoration, and Science Waters Act, with an amendment in the nature of a substitute offered by Ranking Member Huffman, designated Huffman 098 ANS. H.R. 7889, Advancing Water Research and Collaboration Act of 2025, or the AWRC Act of 2025, and H.R. 8658, the Indian Health Service Emergency Claims Parity Act. Without objection, so ordered. Without objection, the motions to reconsider are laid upon the table. I ask unanimous consent that the staff be allowed to make any technical and conforming changes to the documents the committee just adopted, subject to the approval of the minority. Without objection, so ordered. If there's no further business, the committee stands adjourned.